This is John Henry Weston for LifeSite News. We live in the most unbelievable of times. Every day here at LifeSite, we are bombarded with stories about tyrannical actions being taken by authoritarian governments against innocent citizens. In Canada, in America, the UK, and all Western nations that were once united against the evils of Nazi Germany and the communist oppression. You know, sometimes it's best to talk to someone who actually lived under tyranny and terrorism to gain an appreciation for what exactly is at stake. Many of you know Brigitte Gabriel. She's the founder of Act for America and was featured on LifeSite this fall in our Big Tech censorship series. She's one of the most sought-after speakers in the world on the topic of freedom. Brigitte grew up in Lebanon during the worst of times. She immigrated to America in 1989 and quickly earned national attention as one of the most outspoken defenders of family values, the Christian faith, and the dangers of socialism. She's a former TV news anchor, and she sat down with LifeSite's Jim Hale recently to talk about where we go from here and, importantly, what we can do about it. Enjoy.
We are now in a Marxist revolution, and unfortunately, they have won the battle. They have not won the war. They have won the battle. And this is why I want to give a very encouraging message to our people. Because a lot of people are frustrated right now thinking, oh my gosh, we worked so hard, we elected President Trump, but now what are we going to do? We lost the House, we lost the Senate, we lost the presidency, the Democrats are in control, and there's nothing we can do. And I want to give people encouragement because there's a lot of things we can do. And here's what I mean by that. When President Obama became president, a lot of our movement were like, we lost everything. There's nothing that's going to be done right now. We started introducing a Free Speech Defense Act because we knew that free speech was under attack even way back then. In 2009, we organized on the local level. And remember, back then we didn't have Twitter. Twitter didn't even exist. Instagram didn't exist. Facebook had just started. Only teenagers were using Facebook. And so we created local groups and we started introducing bills to defend free speech. For example, we introduced the bill Rachel's Law, which was introduced in New York to protect authors from being sued overseas. And here's the reason why we did it. Rachel Ehrenfeld was an American author who published a book called Funding Evil. And it was about how money is flowing from the Gulf states and the Saudi sheikhs supporting terrorism. A sheikh bought her book in London off of Amazon, ended up filing a lawsuit against her in London, dragging her to London to defend herself as an American author because the lawsuit was filed in London, because they don't have the free speech rights that we have. It cost her hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend herself. So I'm an author. I'm published with a publisher from New York. We introduced the bill in New York, a free speech bill to protect authors, because we knew all publishing houses were located in New York. All media companies were located in New York. We wanted to protect journalists. Look, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, all the media conglomerates are located in New York. And newspaper publishers are located in New York, from the New York Times, New York Post, etc. It passed New York in 2009 by local people putting pressure on their local elected officials. In 2010, we took it nationwide. We were able to pass the Free Speech Defense Act, the name of the bill, in 13 states between 2010 and 2015, and we didn't even use social media. So I tell people out there who feel, oh my gosh, how are we going to be able to do anything? We didn't need social media back then. We were able to pass it by local groups organizing in their local community, working on a bill, pressuring their local elected officials, and passing bills.
Right. But this requires conservatives of every stripe to come together.
Exactly. This requires conservative coming together. And the good news is, right now in America, we are seeing two groups of people. There are no longer the Republican, Libertarians, Tea Party people. We're not as fractured as we used to be. Because right now you are seeing two groups. There is the pro-America group and there is the radical left. The pro-America group, what President Trump has been able to do is bring together People who wanted to put America first, who were tired of the Chinese eating our lunch, the Iranians walking all over us, the North Koreans intimidating us, people that hate us talking bad about us. Americans were united behind the president who put America first. It's basically the Trump party. This is no longer the Libertarian Party, the Republican Party, the Tea Party. It's the Trump America First Party. Because President Trump was able to bring Democrats into the Republican Party who left the Democratic Party and came to the Republican Party. He was able to bring the independents into the Trump movement right now. Look at the walk away movement. Hashtag walk away. People who left the Democratic Party and came in. This is unprecedented. The Republican Party used to be the party of the elite. Now the Republican Party, the Trump Party, is the party of the hard-working men and women, the miners, the factory workers, everybody coming together to work to make America great. And that's great news, because what Act for America right now is networking all these people nationwide and saying, now let's work together. Let's sing off the same sheet of music. And one thing you mentioned, Jim, earlier that was very important. You said the left, they speak the same language, they use the same buzzwords, they talk the same way from coast to coast. The reason why they do that is Indivisible, which is the leftist radical organization, umbrella organization funded by George Soros, started after the election of President Trump. They didn't care where you stood on issues as long as you hated President Trump. And they said, all ye people who hate Trump, come join us. We will network you, we'll coordinate you. They have 6,000 groups nationwide. They speak with one voice. They regurgitate the same buzzwords, the same talking points given to them by headquarters from Indivisible. We, on the other side, we have the Libertarians, we have the Tea Party, we have the Republican Party, we have Christian groups, but they operate in silos. They're not talking the same talking points. They're not coordinating their activities. They're not putting pressure on elected officials at the same time. And so what Act for America is doing is saying, all of you all who love America, all of you who were involved in different groups, come together under the umbrella of Act for America. You can keep your group, you can keep whatever your group is called, Freedom Fighters Orlando, the Bloomingdale Patriots in Minnesota, whatever your group is called. Keep your identity, come under our umbrella, the Act for America umbrella, and we named our organization Act for America, not think about America, not wish for America, not hope for America, not pray for America. You can do all that, and you should, but without acting for America, nothing happens.
You're right. It's time for conservatives to be disciplined and to be on message. Now, another thing that, it's so amusing right now to read mainstream media accounts is that, President Trump has damaged, his brand is so damaged now, and anybody who was allied with President Trump, any politicians who supported President Trump are now ruined politically forever. Of course, we know that's nonsense, right? You're going to have to be a Trumper from now on if you want to get elected as a Republican, I think. But what about the Republican Party? I mean, what's going to become? We just had 10 of them vote for impeachment.
Let me tell you, those are going to be thrown out and primaried. Too bad we can't do that with the Senate members that were just elected, Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, because of Trump. So they are now riding 6 years if they live the duration of their term. They are up there in age, both of them. But if it wasn't for Trump, they would have never got elected. Both of them. And so all these Republicans who came up against Trump have basically come up against the American people, have basically come up against America First policy, have basically come up against the Make America Great idea that America is the most exceptional nation on the face of the planet, that we need to protect her, that we need to stop political correctness, that we need to fight for her, that we need to stand up for China, that we need to stand up to the Iranians, that we need to fight evil. Those Republicans that voted against the president voted against all these principles that I just mentioned. They voted against the American people. And right now, the American people are taking notes and they are remembering that. And they are coming together and they are working together and they are sick and tired of this nonsense. That's exactly why President Trump was elected in the first place. Out of 17 Republicans standing on stage during the primaries, President Trump was elected because people didn't buy the baloney from Marco Rubio running for president, and Jeb Bush running for president, and everybody else standing on that stage running for president. The American people chose President Trump because they knew they have somebody who is running to fight for the American people, not to build his own interest. He was already a billionaire. And so the American people is mobilized. And right now, the most important thing I can emphasize is the way to stay connected is stay connected via email. Forget social media. They can shut you out on social media tomorrow. If you have a group right now, and I'm speaking to everybody who's got a group, if people have a group right now, they need to have the email address and physical address of every single group member in their group. Whatever your group is, no matter whether it's at your church, whether it's in your community, no matter what it is, make sure you have the email addresses and make sure you connect with us. So when we send emails out to people nationwide about certain bills coming down for a vote, because we have technology to monitor bills live coming down for a vote. Where they are in committee, have they approved, who's sponsoring them, who's co-sponsoring them, the stuff that the average person does not know. And that's why I tell people we want to be able to reach you via email. Forget social media. They can cut off social media tomorrow. If I'm connected to you via email to tell you that this bill is coming down for a vote tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. in the afternoon in Congress, and it's being sponsored by Ocasio-Cortez, and you need to call your elected officials in Virginia, wherever you are, Warner, whatever you are, whatever state you are in, and tell them to oppose this bill. I want to be able to reach you. You need to be able to know that this bill is coming down for a vote.
Wow, Brigitte. You know, people just need hope right now. And thank you. Thank you for what you're doing to instill hope. You're a fighter. And, you know, when we aired your interview last summer, the response to it was just so wonderful because people just really resonated with that fighting spirit, and you do it in a way that is so passionate but also so smart. So thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing for this country. I know you were an immigrant to this country, and you lived a life of hardship for a long time, and I know how much you love America.
And that's why I appreciate America, and that's why I want to fight for America, and I have been fighting for America. And it's so sad that in our country, on our side at least, Jim, our people don't wake up until the house is on fire. But by the time the house is on fire, it's almost too late, because then you have to rebuild the house. And we are there right now. We are rebuilding. But I'm encouraged because I have to tell you, I started Act for America in 2002 as an educational foundation. In 2008, right before Obama got elected, is when we launched our chapter network. Obama's election was the best thing for our organization because it mobilized people, it re-energized people to get involved. Because of that, we were able to build chapters between 2008 and 2016. Act for America had built 1,000 chapters nationwide. 1,000 chapters! And our chapters were not small chapters. I mean, we had our chapter in Nashville, Tennessee had 1,200 people. They used to rent theaters, a movie theater, to have their meeting. So what I want to tell people right now is be encouraged. Everybody needs new blood. Everybody needs a reset. And only when you hit rock bottom that you say to yourself, I want to change the way I do things. I'm going to do things better. Look, people don't wake up until after a heart attack. Then they change their diet. People tell you, oh, you need to eat healthy, you need to exercise. People don't listen. And all of a sudden you get a heart attack. And every single person I have ever spoken to who have had a heart attack, it changed their life. They're better than ever. They're slimmer than ever. They eat healthier than ever. They exercise. They live their life to the fullest. They make sure they have time for their friends and family. Their marriage is doing better. Their children are doing better at school. But it took almost dying for them to change their habits. And that's where we are in the country. Now it's the time to start feeling good, exercising, networking, meeting new friends, making a difference for the country. We've got amazing 4 years coming on. We're going to make great friendships, and we're going to do great things for the country.
Well, that's exactly why I knew we had to come back and interview you again. Thank you so much. God bless you, Brigitte Gabriel.
Thank you.
If they're not fired up now, they don't have a pulse, Brigitte.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure
Yes,
being with
always,
you. Thank you so
yes.
much. Thank you.